Hello, everyone. Here we are. We're going to get going again with Job, this time chapter 11. And we're going to hear from his third friend. This is Zophar, the Namatite. Okay, so we've heard from Eliphaz, we've heard from Bildad, and now we're going to hear from Zophar. Okay? All these words, then Zophar, the Namatite, replied, "Are all these words to go unanswered? Is this talker to be vindicated? Will your idle talk reduce others to silence? Will no one rebuke you when you mock?" Because we heard Job getting pretty intense with his fist shaking at God. "You say to God, my beliefs are flawless and I'm pure in your sight. Oh, how I wish that God would speak, that he would open his lips against you and disclose to you the secrets of wisdom, for true wisdom has two sides. Know this, God has even forgotten some of your sin. Can you fathom the mysteries of God? Can you probe the limits of the Almighty?" Now, I want to say something here. You know, the three friends, each one of them has a good word, okay? But there's some understanding missing, okay? Some of it is just a basic empathy, not a lack of empathy, but I want to say, you know, just not, it might be a word out of season, you know, like there's a scripture that says a word in season is like apples of gold in pitchers of silver, if I remember correctly. You know, some of what they're saying is very right. Some of it is not appropriate. So I'm going to leave that to you to discern, okay? And we're going to see how this plays out. So here we go again. I'm going to start at verse 7 in Job 11. And once again, this is Zophar. "Can you fathom the mysteries of God? Can you probe the limits of the Almighty? They're higher than the heavens above. What can you do? They're deeper than the depths below. What can you know? Their measures longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he comes along and confines you in prison and convenes a court, who can oppose him? Surely he recognizes deceivers, and when he sees evil, does he not take note? But the witless can no more become wise than a wild donkey's colt can be born human. Yet if you devote your heart to him and stretch out your hands to him, if you put away the sin that's in your hand and allow no evil to dwell in your tent, then free of fault you will lift up your face, you will stand firm and without fear. You will surely forget your trouble, recalling it only as waters gone by. Life will be brighter than noonday, and darkness will become like morning." Almost sounds like Zophar is doing a little bit of wishful thinking here for his friend Job, because Job's pretty far down there in the pit of sorrow, okay? "You will be secure because there's hope. You'll look around you and take your rest in safety. You will lie down with no one to make you afraid, and many will court your favor. But the eyes of the wicked will fail, and escape will elude them. Their hope will become a dying gasp." So what I'm hearing here, once again, a lot of these men are bringing up the fate of the wicked and how everything the wicked do in reality is very fruitless, okay? And they're trying to delineate between his fall and the fall of the wicked. They're saying, you've fallen, but you have hope. You're one of God's. You have hope. You know, we all have these troubles, but you have hope. The wicked, when they fall, it's over for them. They never had hope. They have no hope. No hope is coming. It's over for them. They're hopeless. Okay, so they're trying to encourage him. I get that, okay? But I think Job's anguish and what he's asking of the Lord is just a little bit deeper. In other words, I'm going to give you an example. Many, many years ago, when I was about 16, a friend of mine and I ran away from home. So this is 50 years ago now, okay, almost 50 years. And we ran from California all the way up to the heights of Oregon at one point. Or no, California, I'm sorry. We did travel all through 7 states. It was a big runaway. It was a big running away. But this was when we were way up north in California. And we went and we stayed on some land that some friends of ours had. And we started to starve. Okay, we were about 30 miles out of civilization. We had a tent, we had some land, we had food until it ran out. And what I want to say to you is there's hunger, and then there's hunger you hopefully have never felt before. Hunger does something. It turns into an animal that you've never felt before, and I know it because I have experienced it. If you may have experienced it too, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But hunger goes from just being famished and, oh, I'm hungry, and, oh, I haven't eaten well for 2 days, to something you've never experienced. It goes into overdrive and turns into something completely different. And it was alien to me. I couldn't believe what I was feeling. And I suspect it gets even worse than that, but we only went down so low. So the point I'm making is that Job, you know, when you think of anguish and sorrow, there's a bottom, but Job has gone even deeper than the bottom. He's in something very different. And as much as his friends are trying to comfort him, I'm not entirely sure that they're actually hitting his level, the level that he's on, because they may not be able to understand it. I mean, he's beyond behind the 8 ball. He's been dropped into the corner pocket. Okay, he's really far down. Okay, so that was Zophar and his trying to comfort his friend Job, who's in misery. Then Job replied, "Doubtless you're the only people who matter, and wisdom will die with you. But I have a mind as well as you. I'm not inferior to you." Gosh, I feel like I've said this to people before when they try to sort of finger wag me into something and they just aren't getting it. Who does not know all these things? In other words, I know all that. I get it. I get what you're saying. But it's still not quite touching where he's at. I've become a laughingstock to my friends. Though I called on God and he answered, a mere laughingstock. Though righteous and blameless. Remember, Job's done nothing wrong and he's lost everything. You know, I think it's bad I lost custody of my granddaughter. He lost 7 children all in one day. Boom, dead. So let's read that one again. This is verse 4 in Job 12. I've become a laughingstock to my friends. In other words, I feel like you guys are just like mocking me. Though I called on God and he answered, meaning before this all happened. You know, I was with you. I was a man of God like you. A mere laughingstock, though righteous and blameless. So he's sort of saying, you know, I guess I was just a laughingstock even though I was righteous and blameless. Those who are at ease have contempt for misfortune, as the fate of those whose feet are slipping. The tents of marauders are undisturbed, and those who provoke God are secure. Those God has in his hand. But ask the animals, and they'll teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they'll teach you, or speak to the earth, and it'll teach you, or let the fish in the sea inform you. Which of all these doesn't know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all mankind. Does not the ear test words as the tongue tastes food? In other words, I can discern. Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding? To God belong wisdom and power. Counsel and understanding are his. What he tears down cannot be rebuilt. Those he imprisons cannot be released. Excuse me. If he holds back the waters, there's drought. If he lets them loose, they devastate the land. To him belongs strength and insight. Both deceived and deceiver are his. He leads rulers away stripped and makes fools of judges. He takes off the shackles put on by kings and ties a loincloth around their waist. He leads priests away stripped, meaning naked, and overthrows officials long established. He silences the lips of trusted advisors and takes away the discernment of elders. He pours contempt on nobles and disarms the mighty. He reveals the deep things of darkness and brings utter darkness into the light. He makes nations great and destroys them. He enlarges nations and disperses them. He deprives the leaders of the earth of all their reason. He makes them wander in a trackless waste. They grope in darkness with no light. He makes them stagger like drunkards. My eyes have seen all this. My ears have heard and understood it. What you know, I also know. I'm not inferior to you. But I desire to speak to the Almighty and to argue my case with God. You, however, smear me with lies. You're worthless physicians, all of you. If only you'd be altogether silent. For you, that would be wisdom. He's angry because their words hurt. There's a time to just cry with somebody and to not say a word. Just cry with them. Hear now my argument. Listen to the pleas of my lips. Will you speak wickedly on God's behalf? Like, you're trying to tell me how God is. Are you going to hurt me with how God is? You're going to say you're speaking all the wisdom of God to me and it's hurting me, and you're going to speak wickedly on God's behalf? Will you speak deceitfully for him? Will you show him partiality? I swear I've had this argument with people who don't get it. Will you argue the case for God? These are people who've never been caught by God and forced to go through something. Will you show him partiality? Will you argue the case for God? Would it turn out well if he examined you? Could you deceive him as you might deceive a mortal? Could you deceive him like you might deceive me? Basically, he would surely call you to account if you secretly showed partiality. Would not his splendor terrify you? Would not the dread of him fall on you? Your maxims are proverbs of ashes. He's saying, it's sort of like when you're hurting and someone comes to you with a scripture. It's like, that's not what I need right now. I need you to cry with me. I need you to hug me. I need you to be quiet. I need you to understand that I'm wrestling with God right now. So he's saying, your maxims they're like proverbs of ashes. You're coming to me with all these cute little answers. There is no answer to what I'm going through. Let it be. Let it play out. Stop being scared of it. At least they're there. Most people abandon you when you go through something horrible. I hate to say that, but statistics show when you lose your job, everybody runs away. Like it's catchy. So at least these friends are here, and he has brought that up, that they're faithfully there, and he knows it. Your maxims are proverbs of ashes. Your defenses are defenses of clay. Keep silent and let me speak. Then let come to me what may. Let come to me what may. Why do I put myself in jeopardy and take my life in my hands? Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. That's a very powerful, famous scripture that we use as Christians. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. So he's saying to them, look, I've got my life in my hands in front of him. I'm shaking my fists, and if he kills me, I still trust that he's a good God and has made the right decision. So we'll read that one again. Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. I will surely defend my ways to his face. Indeed, this will turn out for my deliverance, for no godless person would dare come before him. So he's saying, at least I'm that different. I'll go before God. A godless person wouldn't even go before him. At least I'm in his presence. Listen carefully to what I say. Let my words ring in your ears. Now that I have prepared my case, I know I will be vindicated. Can anyone bring charges against me? If so, I'll be silent and die. Only grant me these two things, God, and then I will not hide from you. Withdraw your hand far from me, and stop frightening me with your terrors. Then summon me and I will answer, or let me speak and you reply to me. How many wrongs and sins have I committed? Show me my offense and my sin. So they're still thinking in general that he did, or he's still thinking he did something somewhere to deserve this. And we all know bad things happen to good people. How many wrongs and sins have I committed? Show me my offense and my sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy? See, this is a misunderstanding of God, as hard as that. And what I'm going to say to you makes it even harder when you're in anguish. God's not hiding. He's crying with you. He loves you. This is just something you're not going to get out of. It's a labor pain you are going to endure. And it's for your good. Those are hard words, but that's the truth of it. Will you torment a wind-blown leaf? Will you chase after dry chaff? For you write down bitter things against me and make me reap the sins of my youth. Well, there may be something to that. You fasten my feet in shackles. You keep close watch on all my paths. By putting marks on the soles of my feet, so man wastes away like something rotten, like a garment eaten by moths. Wow. You know, I'm going to say something about the sins of youth. You know, I was thinking of a particular family of people that never seem to have problems. They're Christians and everything's worked out splendidly for them. All their children are grown and successful. They're strong Christians. They adore the Lord and they serve him. And I look at them and I say, you know, Lord, you love them and you love me. There's no partiality or favoritism. But I've suffered and lost everything. And then I have to look at people, and I know this sounds envious, bear with my humanity. This is a private cry I'm sharing with you. And then, Lord, I have to look at these people who seem to have never suffered. I mean, honestly, I've known them for years and years, and it's like, or I've known of them. And it's like nothing ever goes wrong. I know they've had little struggles, certainly. I know they have, even big things to surmount. But in looking into it and studying it, some of it does have to do with the sins of our youth. Some of us are truly working, all of us are working out our salvation with fear and trembling. Now, from what I know of the head of the family, the father and the mother, they didn't have the youth I had. They were obedient children. Okay, I've had to spend a lot of years being trained and working out my salvation, and they're doing it on their level. But I know they did not have the youth I had. So it's not like I'm being punished. It's like I'm working within my own life's reality. And it's not like I haven't become a new creature or like I'm still paying for the sins of the past. It's something different that I can't explain because I don't know. But it seems to be in the realm of my own life, there's a lot to work out. And I think that's what it is. And I don't resent these people. I think they're beautiful people. So I think that anytime I've ever felt a little envious, it was because I lacked understanding, because I love them as people. But I would get a little envious of their circumstance, you know, and it's like, don't, Autumn, because we're all coming from different places. And you know what? Even what I'm telling you, as I share my experience, my strength, my hope about all of it, is just probably one facet of the truth of the matter. But I think it's an important facet for me to understand that we're all working out our lives and our salvations. So tomorrow we'll pick it up with Job 14. There are about 40 chapters, 42 I think in Job. So this is going to be a wonderful book because it's going to show us what it's like to wrestle with God. The dark night of the soul is right here in this book. I love you and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.